Why does it feel like all of a sudden the weight is settling right around the middle? Maybe you've been asking yourself that lately. You look down and your clothes fit differently, your waistline has changed, and no matter how careful you're trying to be, it feels like your belly fat just keeps getting harder to lose. At some point, somebody probably told you it's your hormones. And listen, hormones absolutely play a role, but what if that's only part of the story? Because I think we have become so focused on hormones that many women are completely overlooking something else that's changing in midlife. Something that affects how your body uses energy, something that affects how you respond to the food you eat, and something that has a direct impact on whether that weight around your middle becomes easier or harder to lose. The surprising part is that most women never hear about it. So, before you spend another minute blaming your hormones for everything that's happening, let me show you what's actually going on. The reason this matters is because most conversations about belly fat after 40 focus almost entirely on hormones. And hormones do matter, like I said earlier. But here's what often gets left out of the conversation. After the age of 30, we naturally begin losing muscle mass. And for many women, that process speeds up during perimenopause and menopause. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what does muscle have to do with belly fat? A lot, actually. Muscle isn't there just to help you lift heavier things or feel stronger. It's one of the most metabolically active tissues in your body. The more muscle you have, the better your body is able to use the energy you eat, manage blood sugar, and support overall metabolic health. So when muscle mass starts declining, your body becomes less efficient. And over time, that can make it easier to gain fat around your middle and harder to lose it. That's why hormones are only part of the story. The other part of the story is what happens when we stop prioritizing strength. Now, if you've never heard this before, you're not alone. Most women have never been taught how muscle affects metabolism, body composition, blood sugar, or even how they feel day to day during perimenopause and menopause. This is actually one of the reasons I created my free midlife shift training, because so many women are trying harder and harder without really understanding what's changing inside their bodies. So if this sounds familiar to you, I'd like to invite you to join me for my next Midlife Shift Live. You'll find the registration link in the description below and pinned in the first comment. But let me show you what I mean first. This is where things get a little uncomfortable because many women spend years looking for the perfect hormone solution while completely overlooking the fact that they're losing muscle. They're searching for the right supplement, the right hormone protocol, the right food plan, the right thing to eliminate. Meanwhile, year after year, they're becoming weaker. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because nobody told them that strength really matters. And the frustrating part is that you can actually be exercising regularly and still losing muscle. That's why I see women walking every day, doing cardio multiple times a week, eating salads, trying to be healthy, and still feeling confused when the belly fat isn't budging. The problem isn't that they're not trying, because they're trying hard. The problem is that they've been taught to focus on burning calories instead of building strength. And those are two very different goals. One woman I've worked with reminds me of this perfectly. She had been a runner for years. She was disciplined and she exercised consistently. Most people would have looked at her and thought she was doing everything right. But she kept telling me, I don't understand what's happening. Her belly fat was increasing, she felt weaker, and her body wasn't responding the way it used to and the way she thought it should. So what finally changed wasn't exercising more or cutting calories lower. And it wasn't finding some special hormone supplement. What changed was her shift in focus toward building strength. For the first time in her life, she started strength training consistently. And over time, she began to see changes she hadn't been able to achieve with all those years of running. Her body composition started changing. She felt stronger and more confident. In fact, one of the things she told me was that she was actually looking forward to summer because she finally felt comfortable in her body again. And the statement that really stuck with me was this: I don't know why I waited so long to start strength training. I've never felt better. I wish I had started sooner. That wasn't just a physical transformation. That was a completely different relationship with her body. This is exactly the kind of conversations that we have inside Midlife Shift Live. Because once you understand what's actually driving the changes you're seeing in your body, everything starts to make more sense. You stop guessing. You stop jumping from one solution to the next. And you can finally focus on the things that actually matter. I'd like to invite you to join me for the next free Midlife Shift live training. You can register using the link in the description and pinned comment below. Now, Let me show you why strength has such a powerful effect on body composition. Your body needs muscle because muscle helps support healthy blood sugar regulation and insulin sensitivity. Muscle also gives your body a place to store and use glucose more efficiently. And when those systems are working better, it's often easier to manage body fat and maintain a healthier weight. That's one reason why simply doing more cardio isn't always the answer. And I know that can be so frustrating to hear sometimes, especially if you spent years believing that the solution to weight gain is just exercising longer and eating less. But for many women, that approach eventually stops producing the results they're looking for, not because they're lazy or lack discipline, and not because they're failing. Their body simply needs a different kind of support. So instead of asking, how can I burn more calories? A better question might be, how can I build and maintain more strength? And instead of asking, how can I eat less? A better question might be, am I giving my body what it needs to support muscle and recovery? Those questions lead to very different decisions and two very different outcomes over time. So now, if you're watching this and thinking, that sounds exactly like me, I would love to invite you to join me for my free Midlife Shift live training. Inside the training, we go deeper into topics like this and help women understand what's actually driving their weight gain, low energy, menopause symptoms, and frustration with doing all the things but not seeing results. If you'd like more clarity and a simple plan for moving forward, you can register using the link in the description below and pin comment. And before you go, if this conversation about muscle surprises you, I want you to watch this next video on how to start strength training in perimenopause because it will help you understand where to begin and how to build strength in a way that works with your body during this stage of life.